What's going on, Dragon Brawler? Scott Sedman here for London Players Guild, and today I'm going to predict what the reprints are going to be in the Anniversary Box 2020. So today's video I wanted to talk about the upcoming Anniversary Box 2020 and try and predict what the reprints are going to be. Now, I think it's a safe bet to say Draft Box 4 are going to get reprints. I know, shock. But I also don't think it's just going to be Anniversary Box reprints. Draft Box 4 reprints. So I don't want people's expectations to get super high. So we'll start off with the multicolored cards because I think this is the more intriguing part of the Anniversary Box reprints, because what are they going to reprint? They're not going to reprint any of the Kefla Sedge or Broly leaders. That makes sense. Any of the new multicolor stuff is pretty easy to obtain. Are they going to reprint the Prim? No, I don't. What I think is going to happen with the multicolored cards, and we'll smash them all out as one, is going to be the multicolored rare cards from Draft Box 4. So the red-green Champa-Beerus, the red-blue Majin Buu, red-yellow King Vegeta and Vegeta. We've got blue-yellow combination attack Vegeta and Goku. Blue-green, which is Goku and Gohan. I'm trying to remember all these off the top of my head. So green-yellow, Krillin and 18, quite an expensive card at the moment. So yeah, I think that's what all the multicolored reprints are going to be. I think it's a safe bet. It's the only thing that really makes sense to me. They're cards that need reprinting because they're quite powerful. They're getting up in price now, and it's one of those things where I'm just like, why else would they be reprinting multicolored? Because they're not going to reprint the Kefla and the Brolys. It doesn't make sense unless they're reprinting SRs, which again still doesn't make sense because Assault of the Saiyans is still plenty available, and obviously up to Universal Onslaught, which is readily available. They wouldn't reprint Universal Onslaught cards. I don't think that just seems like a really bad idea. So yeah, I think it's going to be the multicolored cards. Next up, I think it's going to be the easiest one to predict out of the main colours, we'll say. So we'll go with black because we're only getting 2 cards, and I think one of them's going to be the 2-star ball with whoever the character is in the intro that grabs the 2-star ball, because with the first Anniversary Box we got Krillin holding the 1-star ball. I think it's just nice if they do 2-star, and I want to say it's Piccolo, but I don't think it is. I'll try and find an image and put it on the screen for you now. 2-star ball being held by one of the Universe 7 fighters. I think that's a lockout. Like, out of all of the cards, I want to say 100% I'm locked in on that, but I'm probably wrong because this is probably going to be like, shit, this is an emergency reprint of everything we need to reprint. But in my heart of heart, I hope this is the one card we get reprinted. Just for the continuity's sake, I like cards like that feature from the intros and stuff like that. I just think aesthetically it's really nice. 2-star ball doesn't really do much in today's meta. I can get why some people are about it's a wasted spot, but no, for me personally, I like it. And the second one is going to be Mira Creator Absorb. This card has been constantly a threat, more so with the Broly restand swing again. It was a threat, but it's a card that's out of print technically, and I think it's just a good SR, a good game finisher. Like, still combine it with double strike. It's powerful. It's a great combo. It's user friendly. It's a really good example of how powerful Overwhelm can be, and I just think Bandai haven't banned it, and there's no real outcry to ban it, and I think it's a good card continually going forward, and I think Bandai just want to get it in more players' hands, and I think this is the perfect place to do so. Now we get into the tough part, breaking down what red, blue, green and yellow are going to be, and we'll start with red. Realistically, what is and isn't going to be reprinted? Now, I personally think Topper is going to be in the next event pack, but for argument's sake, I will also put Topper here with a alt art reprint. It is just the best. I'm going to stop whatever you're going to do, and I think Bandai know that, and I think the players know that, and I think the price reflects that. He is an uncommon that is insanely valuable in English. Even going up there in French and Italian now due to our language announcement. I think Topper makes... I personally would like to see it, I just don't know if it will happen. Like I say, I think he's going to be an event pack card, but for argument's sake, I will predict that Topper is going to be one of the cards receiving an alt art reprint. I also think the next red card will be exploiting weakness. I think the goal will be to put one SR from each of the draft box 4 colours into it. So I think it's a pretty safe bet that it's going to be exploiting weakness. Vegeta, his price, his prominence, it all makes sense why he should be reprinted. And the final one, and I was thinking back on this, I'm like, what cards red wise that could do with it? And I honestly, I think I genuinely think it could be, is that all you've got? It's a weird choice, don't get me wrong. I was toying between Fearless Pan and this, but Fearless Pan got a reprint in Draft Box 1, and it's also not super expensive. And is that all you got? Came out in set 6, and I think it's a really good counter. And I genuinely think it's something that could help a lot. Unless we go way back, the only other possible thing I could think it would be is the SR Vegeta. And that's because I think Vegeta is going to come back in a big way with set 10. So it's one of the two, but for the argument of this list, I think it will be. Is that all you got? I don't know why. That's a feeling I got, mainly because it's just a cool name, right? So we'll move on to blue. So for the SR from the draft box, I think it's going to be UI Goku. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that Bandai, this is the card. Just when they were developing this set, is the card that they were like, yes, this needs to be reprinted. It's the one that was always expensive from the start. It's seen less play now, but it's always been pricey. It's never been cheap. Pre-launch prices it was cheap, but it's the one card that everyone knows is expensive from draft box. It's not the most expensive card from draft box anymore, but still expensive. And I think it's a card that definitely needs a reprint because of its use versatility. Like the Zeno button ban really affected this card's value and use, but it's still a card that should not be slept on and is a card that most players should have access to, in my opinion. Next up, I think, is going to be Mafuba. Now, it's a weird choice considering technically we do have an alt-art reprint of Mafuba, which is all shiny and green. There's just something about that card that makes me think Bandai really like it, and it's something that's always really been in the meta ever since Victory Strike was introduced. Even before then, Mafuba was kind of played. It's not in every deck, don't get me wrong, it's not a staple, like every blue deck will run it. I just feel like it's a card that's so constantly there, and for it to have only really been in set 2, it might have got a reprint in one of the starters, but I don't think it has. Correct me in the comments below if that's the case. I think it's a good time to reprint it. Honestly, it's a card that just is good. Honestly, I don't really know what more to add to it than that. And finally, a bit of a weird one, but with the reworking of Beerus, I thought, what cards are pretty tough to get that can really add to it? And I come across onto the Gogeta promo from the Dash Pack, mainly because of the ramped effect and it burns your opponent. And I was like, that is pretty tough, and it is still pretty expensive to get hold of. Like it's a card that has held its value, and that for some reason that does Dash Pack cards just are weirdly, like, they're not expensive, but they're not inexpensive. Like they're for a card that's not played, it's a weird one. It's a real weird one. And I think that could benefit with an alt-art reprint. And plus it's a Gogeta card, so there's always going to be support for that in the future. I like so Gogeta. I can't remember its name, but the picture will be on screen. I definitely think that's the one I'm least sure on, but I think it's gonna get the reprint. That or Whis from set 1, the rare Whis from set 1, the rare Whis from set 1. Mainly because of memes. Because they're not gonna change. They're not going to change the effects, so I don't think it makes sense to reprint it. But just for the cool new art of Whis, give me more Whis, guys. Bandai, where's my Whis leader at? Moving on to green. Well, green, it's Piccolo simulated ability. That is the card that has to get reprinted. Personally, I actually really want to see the Zamasu Divine Vanquisher. I think it's called Divine Vanquisher. We'll put the right one up on screen. I personally want that to get reprinted, but I understand why Piccolo has to get reprinted. Just because of the insane value that card offers. You can play it from the Power Booster Piccolo, and it's so you can play it turn free, and then you've got both cards on board, so its effect is live. You draw and you pop, and it's just a really disgustingly good card. Definitely worth its price in gold. Piccolo has to be, assimilated ability has to be reprinted. I also think Shocking Death Ball. I know, you're like, Scott, what? Shocking Death Ball? And I'm just like, I genuinely would like to see. I feel like it's the one spark encounter that just never, like, I don't know, from at least in the UK perspective, it's available, but it's like, for a counter, like, people normally sell it for £1, and I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. And I just think it's running low, and like a nice, like with all the Super 17 support, I think it would be a nice bonus to have a new alt art version of Shocking Death Ball. I like alt art versions of cards. I like alt art counters. It makes them more available and it makes them pretty. So I think it's worth investing and putting it in Shocking Death Ball. Mainly because green, just got to give some green some love. And then finally, I think my last choice for green was torn between two set 2 cards. Enraged Gohan Awakening. I believe that's Enraged Gohan Awakening and Father-Son Kamehameha. Now, I'm going with Enraged Gohan Awakening purely for the fact that I think Father-Son Kamehameha is redundant now due to Slumber Strike, Father-Son Kamehameha is kind of redundant due to Slumber Strike. Again, it is a draft box card, but Father-Son Kamehameha is pretty cheap, and I don't see the need necessarily to reprint it. Whereas Enraged Gohan Awakening, it's essentially the same thing as Mifuba, except this deals with the problem, it KOs it. Really good against Victory Strike, really strong card against Victory Strike, especially with 2 cards with Victory Strike in the game now. It's also just, it can catch people off play. Like, if they don't know it's coming, it's really good. And I think Enraged Gohan Awakening is the card that can really benefit from an alt art reprint, especially in foil. I think it's a card that can really come alive. So that's the green one. So now we come to yellow, and I know everyone wants me to say Saiyan Instincts Goku is going to be the card that gets reprinted, but that's only really shot up in price with the Surge cards. So I think when Bandai were designing this, they looked at it during the meta where it was Broly Ape and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be Raiders Warcry that gets the SR reprint. And personally, I prefer it getting a reprint because I really like Bardock stuff. But yeah, in today's meta, I really think it should be Goku Saiyan Instincts. The Ape, draw 2, that just, when it's in a drop, you warp it, draw 2, pay 2. It's so good. It's insane value. Like, it's great to counter hand control. It can go in any deck because it's a 0-5 combo. It's just such a good card. So maybe Bandai will surprise us and put that in. But I do think, since this is a prediction video, I am going to predict that it will be Raiders Warcry and not the Goku Ape, which we all want to be reprinted. I'm sorry. We're just going to have to deal with that card being expensive. And I earn 0 of it, so it's going well. Next up in yellow, I think Big Getty Star is going to get the reprint, mainly because they've just introduced more Metacooler support, and the whole crux of the deck does work around Big Getty Star, and yes, it's cheap and available, but it's a card that if people want to play the archetype, it is necessary, at least a one of, and I think a nice new looking one with foil reprint is just what that deck needs for more blingage. Blingage is a weird word, and I should never use it again. So yeah, that's a pretty easy one. I was going to put the Infinite Metacooler replication, but I'm like, would Bandai really put a card that you can get 50 of in all art reprints? The answer is probably yes, but I want to believe that they won't do that to me because I will cry. I will literally cry. I have 50 Metacoolers. I do not want 50 foil all art Metacoolers and 50 non-foil art Metacoolers. Don't do that to me, Bandai. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. And final card for yellow, Planet Vegeta. Now, yeah, it's a weird choice. I just think it's a really good search. Yeah, it's really good for ape interaction. And if apes were to ever make a return, it'd be nice to have that. And I know I didn't go into any theme sets or anything. I stuck mainly to the main sets. I just don't think any of the theme sets warrant reprint. I also don't think there's many promos that need reprinting right now. I think promos are pretty cheap across the board. There might be one or two examples of an expensive promo. The ones I did think and wanted to put on was the Goku Black Foresee in Darkness and the Broly. The counter one to that, like the two that came out in the last draft box tournaments, I think it was. But they've just got reprinted with the championship prizes for this season, so I think Bandai are going to hold off on reprinting those, maybe until a Magnificent Collection or Anniversary Box 3. So they're my thoughts, guys. Please let me know in the comments below what you think it's going to be. I could be completely wrong. I could be spot on. And I just really want to, like, this is such a great product. The last one was perfect. I ordered a case of it. And all the designs of the boxes, the sleeves, everything was so nice about the set. The only problem was Toa being in 1 out of 4 boxes. Oof, big pain. And now it's going to be Majin Buu, and it's going to be 1 in 4 boxes again, probably. And I'm like, I mean, it's not too much of a problem for me, but people who can only buy one or can't even afford to buy one, it's Agents of Destruction, and that's a really strong archetype. Those Destruction rares are worth chasing after. That's something I didn't think about. It could have been the campaign rares, but that's for another topic. I would say invest in Destruction. I would say invest in Destruction rares while you can. I could be completely wrong, so do not trust me on financial things, but if you're one of those players who like to pick up stuff before they're expensive, I would pick them up now. Just make sure you have them. And that's it, guys. Thank you for joining me. I've been Scott Sedman. This has been London's Players Guild. If you've got any requests for content in the future, please leave them down in the comments below. You can reach us on Facebook. We have a Facebook fan page. It's a really good page. We work with the Lookout. We work with Tournament Center. It's a nice little community, and you'll see everything we do on there. You can follow me on Twitter at Scott Sedman. That's where I do some tweets. I don't really tweet, but my DMs are open, so if you want to contact me personally, you can do it that way. And just a reminder, before I go, the last little thing, Salford is coming very fast. Saturday, with there's less than 50 tickets, maybe 30 tickets now. It's going to be real fast. I'll put the link in the description below so you can get your tickets to that event. Please turn up. 256 player cap. It's going to be fantastic. We've got some French players coming. I think there's at least 2 Italian players coming, or said they were going to come, or try and come. And I'll be there alongside Andrea from The Lookout. Tom G Games is covering it on stream, at least the Swiss part of this tournament. I'll have a badge on me. I'll be near the press area. Once I finish my matches, come up to me, say hi. Do not mind. That's all, folks. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.